Last month, I did a TBR, but I said that I often read on impulse, even though I start the month with good intentions to read certain books, either books that I own or books that I've seen promoted. Sometimes I just, see a book that randomly shows up, decide to read that, and never get to the TBR. Well, this month, I actually read what I thought I would. And the first book I want to share with you today was really my favorite book of the month. Carson the Magnificent by Bill Zehme and Mike Thomas. Now, I'm going to do a full review of this book because I really liked it a lot. And if everything works out, I'll post that video tomorrow. So Bill Zehme has written a number of biographies of entertainers and the like, but he was a big fan of Johnny Carson, who, as we know, was really the king of late night for decades. If you had the TV on past 11:30 Eastern Time, 10:30 Central Time, there was a point where that TV was almost always tuned to the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And Bill Zehme was, as I said, a big fan of Carson's, and he collected memorabilia because he was an author, a magazine writer. He actually got to interview Carson on several occasions. And so he decided he was going to write this book about Johnny Carson, a biography, which would be a little bit difficult because Carson did not grant a lot of interviews. He was generally not out in the public scene all that much. So Zem had to rely on the interviews that he had done and the people that he had talked to start writing this biography. And he was working on it. Unfortunately, he passed away. His publisher approached Zem's friend, Mike Thomas, about finishing the book. And Thomas, in fact, did pick up the manuscript and wrap it up. And I'm really glad that he did. If you follow Johnny Carson at all, one of the things you also knew that he had a very, very, I guess the word is complicated personal life. Even though he was out in front of millions of people every night on TV, he was rather reclusive in his personal life. He had multiple marriages, not very social, as I said, and he himself admitted he was not a good father. He was sort of married to his career as a late night television host. He did suffer a personal tragedy when his son died. He was off the air for a time after that, and the book chronicles his emotions when he returned to TV. But I think that the element of the book that I really enjoyed was getting a better understanding of his power and his influence over late night television and entertainment in general. In fact, after decades of hosting the show, Carson decided he was going to retire, and he did. But NBC paid him money so that he would still stay engaged with the network and produce specials for the network, other projects like that, other than being on TV at night. And Carson signed the deal, but never produced a show for himself again. He dabbled in producing some other shows along the way, but never really produced any kind of show with his name on it that he was directly involved in. He said he had done it all, and why continue? So as I said, I'm going to post more about this book in a video probably tomorrow that I'll post. But Carson the Magnificent by Bill Zehme and Mike Thomas was my favorite book of the month. Another book I read was called Frostbite: How Refrigeration Changed Our Food, Our Planet, and Ourselves. It's written by Nicola Twilley, I believe, or possibly Twilley. I'm never good at names. When I first saw the title, I thought, well, this would be kind of cool. How refrigeration changed our life. And in fact, it does talk about that. It explored food preservation, environmental sustainability, and the impact of refrigeration on public health. She actually, one of the things that was kind of cool about the book, she used the journey of a banana through the cold chain. And she used that to illustrate how refrigeration really changed the way we consume our food and interact with our environment. Uh, think about it. I mean, we have most foods available to us year round, and that would not be possible without refrigeration. But she argues that refrigeration also led to a decline in the nutritional quality of our food and the taste of our produce as it extended, as keeping food in cold storage diminishes the freshness of the foods that we eat. Um, so the book got a little bit preachy, and I think that's a thing that I didn't really appreciate about the book. She challenges us to reconsider our dependence on refrigeration. That was a head scratcher to me. Um, I'm not giving up my refrigerator, and I wouldn't expect us to go back to the way food was distributed and stored, in the 1940s and 50s. But she argues for more sustainable food storage and consumption practices, and she says that'll be better for the planet and for our health. Quite possibly so. But again, while I enjoyed a lot of the elements of the book that had to do with how refrigeration changed our food, I didn't need all the lecturing that was also in the book. Frostbite: How Refrigeration Changed Our Food, Our Planet, and Ourselves. Uh, Another book, In My Time of Dying: How I Came Face to Face with the Idea of an Afterlife, by Sebastian Junger. Junger. Could be Junger, I suppose. I'm not a big reader of books about near-death experiences, and I was attracted to this book purely on the recommendation of a friend who said that I would really enjoy reading this book. And it was an okay book. So the story is this: Younger's had a near-death encounter. He had a medical emergency. He almost died. He lost, I think it says, 10 pints of blood. And in that period where he was in the process of dying, his father, who had been dead for 8 years, appeared to him and tried to comfort him as he was being pulled towards this void of death. One of the elements that was good about the book, I think he explored the science of near-death experiences. He reported that there were, in a study of 344 people who had heart attacks, who were on the verge of dying, somewhere around 15% reported life-altering experiences like meeting deceased loved ones or floating outside their bodies. He reflects about how encounters with dead loved ones are being reported around cultures, in different cultures, rather, saying that it was a universal aspect of human death, despite people in different cultures having different beliefs. So the book is rather philosophical on the significance of death, and its role in challenging our own thoughts about death. So if you're interested in the afterlife or near-death experiences, In My Time of Dying: How I Came Face to Face with the Idea of an Afterlife, may be a book for you. The next book, another book I really liked, has been out for a little while. It's called Burn Book: A Tech Love Story, by Kara Swisher. Swisher has been writing about technology for a long time. Wall Street Journal. She's written books. She's written articles on technology, and in this case, she talks about the transformation of Silicon Valley, uh, talking about the founders of many of the computer devices that we rely on today, and how some of them became detached from their original ideals as they became more powerful and richer. She suggests that tech leaders need to take responsibility for the impact of their innovations on society. And she delves into the impact of digital platforms on traditional media outlets. And she reflects on the failure of legacy media to adapt and rise to the competition from digital competitors. The book is also rich with stories about some of the personalities and innovators of technology, including Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Rupert Murdoch, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's somewhat irreverent, but the book shares a lot of chatty insights about technology and the people who have profited from it and have really benefited our lives. It gives us something to think about technology advancing as well. So that book is called Burn Book, A Tech Love Story by Kara Swisher. So of the four books I read, I'd strongly recommend two of them, Carson the Magnificent and Burn Book, A Tech Love Story by Kara Swisher. We'll do full reviews on those books coming up as well. Post your ideas for books that I should be reading in the comments below. Thanks for joining me. Happy reading.